Welcome to the Shades of Grey podcast with Dr. John Gray, New York Times bestselling author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And now, Dr. John Gray.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus for Women Only. That's the new book, and I'm so excited about it. And today's topic is women's new emotional needs. That's what's going on in this book, is we're really looking at women's new emotional needs. And without men having to read the book, without men knowing this, because men don't know this, how do you get what you want from a man? And it's not enough just to say, well, he should read the book and he should learn all these things. Hey, if I could change all men, that would be great, but they're not going to do it. That's not going to be the normal thing. Some men will read it. That's great. And even though it says for women only, it's a great book that you could share with your partner and say, hey, here's a section. Let's read this together. A lot of this book is secret information for women to know about men, to use on men, so to speak, strategies to get what you want. See, I talk about it a lot. Ultimately, when you make a man your hero, he'll die for you. It's that men need women to motivate them, just like I need my work to motivate me. Yesterday, I didn't have anything planned, so I just relaxed and stayed in bed and meditated. I was happy as could be. Watched a little YouTube stuff, learned some things. Men are like, I'll go on cruise mode. Women don't understand that because you can't go on cruise mode unless you're way off on a vacation and your children aren't there and you can sit under the sun. And even then, it's pretty tough for some women. But for men, we can go into cruise mode so easily because we're not designed to do anything. We have anything we don't have to do. There's a button inside of men that says, emergency, I've got action, and put all my energy forward. There's a big surge of dopamine and energy and testosterone. And then if there's nothing to do, I'll just relax. I don't have to do anything. Great. This is one of the problems for men in life. You know, why men's life expectancy is shorter than women's. One part of it is that men retire. Not all men do retire, but a lot of men, you know, their life is a grind. They don't have enough love in their lives. And so they're just ready to I'm done working so hard. I just want to cruise now and play golf or retire, not have to work. And insurance companies will say that, you know, you've got a few years to live once you retire. Why? Because from my point of view, there's a huge drop in testosterone when a man doesn't have to do something. So that challenge to keep going, where you have to do something, is so beneficial for men. Not so beneficial for women. So women are more stressed. So for women, when they're more stressed, it's usually when they come into my office, and I've been doing counseling for over 40 years. Usually it boils down to a lot of complaints, certainly when it's relationship counseling, which I specialize in, but just life, life coaching and so forth, and being happy in life and being successful in life, all those things. Women's major stress when they're talking will often be all the things I have to do. There's no time for me. And that was such an odd thing for me to hear of someone say, there's no time for me. I kind of think there's always time for you. And she'll talk about, I have friends and I do this and I do this. A lot of this stuff is for me. I mean, if I was the woman, well, I'm doing this because I want to do this. But women get caught up in this feeling of I have to do something. And I have to do is not a comfortable place for women. Now, certainly there's things women have to do, and there's no problem if women have to do things as long as it's balanced with I don't have to do. You know, I have to do has to be balanced with I don't have to do. Now, men become weak, unmotivated if they don't have enough I have to do's. And it's easy for men. They relax, they can be comfortable if I don't have to do. But when they don't have to do, and we do need a balance of that. That's why when men have their cave time. So men go to I have to do, then they come back and they do their cave time, which is I don't have to do. It's whatever he wants to do. It's his choice, no obligation. It's something he enjoys doing, something that's challenging to him, something alone, something he's responsible for. Particularly, it can be with other guys, but it's or with other people. cave time. Like I could play tennis with my friend. That's good cave time. Unless I feel obligated, but I don't feel obligated to play tennis. I'm going to do that because I enjoy doing it. So I don't have to do it. Where women get caught up in this feeling of I have to do, and they have a difficult time getting back to I don't have to do. Now, this is how women have been for thousands and thousands of years, where I don't have to do. They could just follow their instincts, their what they like to do, what they enjoy doing, what they're not obligated to do, but they're doing it because they love doing it. That's called nurturing. I'm caring for someone. So what happened to women? Well, women have new emotional needs. They need extra support to come back to the part of them that says, I don't have to do. And men, we need extra support to feel like there's things I can do that I have to do. Okay. Always for men, if I have to do it and I can't do it, that's a real bummer. It's men always need for testosterone. And for those that listen to me regularly, what we've learned, see, some people just come in and start learning this stuff. So I have to do a little review of the most important aspect of the biological differences of men and women. For men, they have to make, otherwise they're stressed out. They have to fight or flight. Their heart is closed if they're not making enough testosterone, and they have to be making not too much estrogen. Too much estrogen lowers his testosterone. And that's always the case when a man is stressed. If you look at the stress hormone, whatever he's doing, whatever he's thinking, however he's relating, however he's not relating, whatever is causing his hormones to go out of balance, if he's stressed, you can always look and you'll see his testosterone is low, his estrogen is high. I'm not saying, for those who want to be hypercritical of my message and say it's too simplistic, I'm not saying that testosterone lowers a man's stress. I'm saying that when a man is stressed, his testosterone is too low, because there's certainly lots of things that can raise or lower your testosterone. One of my funny jokes recently, I just enjoy it, which I gave in Saudi Arabia a few weeks ago on one of my trips, was men. If you make a man a hero, your personal hero, he'll die for you. And if you don't, he'll die because of you. And that's what I see happening. I'm not going to blame the women for this, because women don't know better. They don't know how to bring out the best in a man. They didn't need to know in the past. Women instinctively could bring out the best in a man because culture set it up so women were dependent on men for survival. That was the world. You were dependent on men for survival. Now you're dependent on the government. Now you may be thinking you're dependent on, yourself, and that's a big part of it. But what we're moving towards more and more is depending on the government. And this is just a big problem, because there's going to be no intimacy in life when you're dependent on money from the government. And this is what they're going to move into. And I know it's very seductive. They're very smart, whoever's running this world, to make you dependent on the government and not on men. If you're not dependent on men, there's no intimacy between men and women. There's no babies, and they get their population control. You realize now that there are forces who, just to take a moment, just understand this. Throughout history, we see that the people at the top start wars and thousands of people die. How can you not realize that there's evilness at the very top? They just manipulate us with emotions. Oh, they're attacking us, so we have to attack them. And we don't step back and realize who starts these things. It's just emotional manipulation to get people to rally behind, we have to fight a war. Nobody wants to fight a war right now. That's not the reality. Never has been the reality. But they get people emotionally stirred up, just like in relationships. You could say one thing to your partner, and now they hate you and they're mad at you for a while. We're so emotionally volatile because we're fed lies and deception to activate us and focus on certain things, focus on negativity instead of positivity. What happens is that we start wars. So just understand this, that there are forces that say, in order to achieve the goal, the end justifies the means. So if peace is the goal, then we can wipe out so many young men, just get rid of them, kill people, die. The end justifies the means. Try to get this in your mind. There's people that think this way. The end justifies the means. And we all just think that way to a certain extent because, it's like if you were to invest money, you have no problem putting your money in something if you're going to get money back. So the end justifies the means. One of my pet peeves is that, there's been people who promote these amazing workshops and they can get so many people to sign up. And of course, you have to pay money to pay these workshops. And they have no problem because they promise people you'll make twice your money. You'll make 10 times your money if you come to this workshop and you learn this. You invest the money here. We're going to help you make more money. So people will pay a lot of money for classes that promise you making money, give money to make money. Ironically, these promoters say, when we teach your workshops, we get the best feedback. People are so happy, touches their lives. They're so fulfilled, but we can't sell them. We can't get people to pay for it. This is what they tell me. They said, we'd love to do it, but we can't get people to pay for it, generally speaking. So we lower our prices and we have people coming. But now if you're just teaching spirituality, which is like the most important thing in life, to know that you have a connection with your higher powers, people won't pay for that at all. And if you are some spiritual teacher out there and you're charging money, people get really mad at you for charging money for teaching spiritual things that are the best thing you can teach. Whereas over here, you can teach, money, make money. Oh yeah, happy to pay money to make money. This is how our value systems are off. So I'm just explaining to you, this end justifies the means, and it's inside of all of us. But at the very top, there's people that see the world is a mess. There's just too many people in their mind. There's just too many people. And when you travel around the world like I do, you just see how crowded cities are. I was just going through Istanbul, for example, to get to Saudi Arabia. The traffic is crazy, in so many cities, the traffic. When I was down in South America, Sao Paulo, I mean, you could spend half your workday just going and coming home from work in heavy duty traffic. There is overpopulation in the world. And the answer for some people who want to stay in control is that they want population to decrease. That this is, like they say it, this is their goal. This is the World Economic Forum, the globalists, they know that they want to have population control. Let me just see. End accept. Hold accept. Hello? Hello? Hello?
My name is Jasmine Lopez, sir, and I'm calling to inform. This is about the funds available from state and federal programs. And to confirm, you are a California homeowner, right?
Okay, sorry. I was expecting a very important call to interrupt, so I had to interrupt. I'll go back to hanging up on that person. Rich, can you hear me now? Hello, Rich. Rich, can you hear me now?
I can now, yes.
Okay, so I got interrupted. Now, of course, I was interrupted because I am waiting on an important call from the bank, so I took that call. And I look at that as God saying, John, interrupt your political speech. I understand people come here for relationship stuff, but I can always draw it back. I want us to understand that we all have a dark side and it can be triggered. And so we get triggered, we get fooled into war. But the dynamic, since I went there, let me finish up on that thought, which is there are people that do want to lower the world's population. And so part of how they will lower the population is to make it so people don't make babies. And if people don't make babies, how do you get people to stop making babies? You get them to not have sexual attraction for each other. And if they have no sexual attraction for each other, they don't make babies. And so there is a conscious effort to neuter men and neuter women from being attracted to each other. This is what's going on in our world. And it wasn't always that way when there weren't too many people in the world. So powers that be encouraged marriage and so forth. And how do you do that? You create a situation where women are dependent on men. Because when women are dependent on men and you provide a way for men to provide survival for women, when that happens, you have passion, you have attraction. The bottom line between men and women, women's new emotional needs, which is the theme of this talk today, is that women have to find a new reason to need a man. there are so many women that say, I don't need a man. And this is the first chapter of the book. I was just reviewing some of the ideas in that in the book, and how to get the support you need without a man. That's what women are learning to do now, and that's great, except that that can be very fulfilling, but it fools you into thinking that there's a greater happiness, which is how I can get the support of a man. What are her new needs? And in terms of instructions, what women are missing is how to ask for help, how to ask for support. But even more importantly, to get over the hurdle in a romantic relationship, because what creates romance is when a woman feels very safe that a man cares about her. And so in the past, men had a clear job that they would do to make her happy. And how does he know what will make her happy? Is that she'll marry him, she'll have children with him, she'll have sex with him. And so if she has sex with him, then he assumes I'm doing the right job. So what would men have to do so a woman would want to have sex with him? What a man would have to do is to have the ability, the expressed ability to provide for her if she was to have babies. That means to create a home for her, to create security for her, to provide food for her, to provide comfort for her, to be devoted to her, to be bonded to her. And nature has set this up, because when men are monogamous, when a man says, I'm going to take care of you, I'm there for you, his body will make a hormone called prolactin that will cause him to not want to stray. Men have, if they have high testosterone, they're ready to have sex almost any moment. Okay, give me an opportunity and I could do that. Unless my body's making prolactin, then I can't be turned on to somebody else. For example, I have so much prolactin in my body, I can't be turned on. I'm not interested in another woman. I'm just interested in my wife. That's all hormonal. If I was single, all my brain would always be going, would that be a potential? Would that be a potential? Would that be a potential? There's a drive inside of men, a very strong drive, which says, where can I plant my seed to make a baby? This is, our most important evolutionary drive. More so for women is where do I get food? And for men is, where can I make babies? How do we have evolution without making babies and without getting food? These are the deepest things. So when women are stressed, quite often they want food. And quite often for men, when they're stressed, they're looking for a woman, because a woman who's interested in having sex with him is fulfilling this evolutionary urge to make babies. But once you find that woman, and women were taught, this is all just very basic stuff, she doesn't get turned on to a guy unless he has the ability to provide the home for her, the caring, the protection that she needs in order to make a baby. And this is shown by our research, even though it's common sense. Okay, come on now. But the research shows that as women get closer to ovulation, where they have the potential to make a baby, that's when men who are more alpha men become more and more attractive to them. These are what we call alpha man, is a man who's able, when you perceive him, you perceive that he has the ability to provide for you, your survival and your security and so forth. So this is women's old needs. And when those old needs can be met by women alone, I can provide that. I've got policemen, I've got a government, I've got a job, I have equal opportunities, all this stuff the government has now provided for women. So she's no longer so dependent on men. And some women will even say, what do I need a man for? I don't even need a man. There's a whole chapter in this book, which we'll get to in later talks in greater detail, is what are the things a man can provide that you need, and what are the things that he can't provide that you don't need? And it's very important to know that, because what happens is there's a whole nother section in there, which is he's not your girlfriend. Because in a sense, as women become more independent, they can provide for themselves what men have always provided. But the workplace and being independent doesn't provide what another woman can provide. Another woman provides like vitamin A. A man provides vitamin C. So there's, different like vitamins that we need, emotional vitamins. And men, now that women can provide what men used to provide, which is survival and security, women have new needs. Something else emerges. And this, of course, was at first help us to understand that was a psychologist, Maslow, who talked about the hierarchy of an emotional needs, or hierarchy of needs, survival and security. Then there's a whole bunch of emotional needs, the need for to feel included. You need to feel included. You need social needs. You need social needs. You need self-esteem needs. You have intimacy needs. You have personal growth needs. You have transcendent needs, spiritual needs. And we have all those needs today. Once you have survival and security taken care of, then what happens is you have these other needs. And intimate relationship with a man is one of those needs. That's intimacy, someone who can see into you, someone who can go into you, someone who can provide this masculine support. However, today, women have new emotional needs because they're on their male side already. Maslow didn't account for that. Okay. This is 100 years ago. When you're on your male side, you suddenly have this whole new need that never has showed up. And that the need for help to come back to your female side. That's the new need that women have. They're all walking around like men on some level. And they're not feeling the need for a man if you're doing it for yourself. And what's confusing is then when you get a man, you want him to be your girlfriend, because having a girlfriend is also women friend. A social bonding with other women is very, very important. But when you're in the workplace and you're competing, even if you're working with women, you're still competing to a great extent, and you're still in a state of testosterone, as opposed to the hormones that get produced when you're with women. You're going to be producing a lot of progesterone. You're going to be producing a lot of estrogen. These are female hormones that generally don't get produced in the workplace very much. So if you have women all day long for you, you're getting that need for feminine support. But because you don't have that need for feminine support, it's a disaster. That need is not being fulfilled with other women. It's a disaster today because women's new needs is they need more time with other women. And of course, they need a new kind of support for men to come back to their female side. But this is the crisis for women, is they don't have enough time to social bond with other women. Okay, so that's one, because they're busy working. And as they become busy working, they're taking on the role of having a provider and a protector. So now you don't need a man. And you're not motivated to find a man, to have a man, to appreciate a man, to trust a man, to depend on a man, to feel your need for a man, if you're already being the man. So you're on your male side. There's something empty inside. And whenever you're unhappy, one of the things we talked about last week is anytime a woman is suffering, she's depending too much on something. Okay, she's depending on her man too much, or she's depending on him too much to be everything, or she's depending on her work too much, or she's depending on her personal life with her friends and girlfriends or whatever too much. There has to be a balance. When you're younger, you can depend primarily on yourself, your work. You can feel depending on your girlfriends. That can be very supportive to you if you're getting that support. But as you mature, generally around 28, that's when your need is imperative that you have masculinity in your life. This is where you feel, I don't have to do it all myself. There's a collectiveness, but you have to participate in that collectiveness. With a man, you don't have to do anything. If you understand men, you don't have to do anything except be yourself. You don't have to earn his love. With other women, you have to earn their love. Okay, you have to give, you get in trouble if you don't give enough and so forth. But when you understand the way men's psychology is, what he wants most from you, now he will want other things if he's not getting what he wants most. Men are not clear about this either. But what a man needs most and wants most from a woman is a woman who appreciates what he provides for her. A woman who trusts that he loves her, that he's there for her, that she can reach out to him. A woman who accepts him unconditionally, even though he's not perfect. She's not trying to change him all the time. To accept someone is to delight in their presence with no agenda to change them. So, all women, whenever they're unhappy, they always want to change the man. They're always complaining a man. They're judging the man. They're criticizing the man. He should do this. He should do this. And it's not that they're doing it all the time, again, we've covered this. It's in my book, Men Are From Mars. It's that women go in waves. Last week, we talked about how women go up and down. We talked about the biology, why it's inevitable that women will be happy and they'll be unhappy. They'll be happy and they'll be unhappy. What you can change, women, in yourself is that those waves of crashing down, you don't get stuck. And when you crash down, you don't go way down. And that's by using these tools of learning how to communicate effectively that I talk about in the new book for women only. And this is all within your hands. Who's responsible for your happiness? You. And when you don't know what your new needs are, you're not going to be able to create your happiness. And part of creating your happiness is learning how to process your negativity inside without depending on a man, without blaming a man. I was just listening to the new Tony Robbins network. It was fun. I know Tony back from the 90s. I used to always come and do his Date with Destiny talks, and it was really, really fun. We did that for a decade. Then he went on. He really understands Mars Venus material quite a bit. And so he'll talk about, doesn't it sound like he's on another planet? What planet are you on? It's fun to see him using those insights, helping men and women understand that we're different. Men are different, women are different. A funny story from those days. I remember when Men Are From Mars was, a couple of years number one, the first couple of years of number one, Tony's people said, you got to get John Gray to come there. And when he first saw me, he was just not impressed at all. And then when he introduced me, he almost apologized for having me on stage. Here's a speaker and oh, here is the bank call. So I'm going to have to pause. And Ken, I hope we can edit this out, but everybody be patient with me. But I have to take this call.
Take it.
Hold
Take
and
it.
accept. Okay, folks. Hi, are we back, Ken? And that was all private? Just giving banking information. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm welcome back. Today we're talking about women's new emotional needs, and the content here is that women are really challenged because when they're more independent, they have no time to have social bonding, and that's one of women's traditional emotional needs. Okay, throughout all history, go to any indigenous culture, women will be with women all day long, helping each other, talking to each other, connecting to each other. So when they get involved with a man, because they're missing that vitamin, they think, oh, because I'll tell women, women need a man who can provide emotional support. And they think, oh, I need another girlfriend. They want to make him into a girlfriend. And when I say men have to provide a new kind of emotional support, it has nothing to do with being a girlfriend. It actually means even being less like a girlfriend. All these feminized men who want to talk about their feelings and share and spend a lot of time with you. No, 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 no. That's why cave time was so, so important for relationships. That's why I don't encourage men to talk about their feelings. And I also encourage women, don't talk about your negative feelings with a man. And I was just listening to YouTube on the new Tony Robbins story. Oh, you want me to finish the Tony Robbins story? Well, it was. I'll get to it. So yeah, I was listening to it. It was him, Tony, teaching his classes, and some woman was a guest, and she was talking about and women. Uh, she's talking about anger, sadness, and fear. The bottom line of my feeling letter exercise. It's now gone out in the world. I've been teaching it 40 years. If you're stressed, what you have to do is you have to feel all three emotions, whether different order, but it can be anger, sadness, and fear, and then what you want, what you don't want. And ultimately, if you're more enlightened and you really want to transform yourself, you go anger, sadness, fear, and guilt, regret. Take responsibility for what created. But you can't take responsibility in relationships because women don't know how they're sabotaging their relationships. That's one of the most important needs you have, is to realize how you make relationships worse. If you don't understand men and your new emotional needs, you have unrealistic expectations of him that he's not supposed to provide. And you think in your mind he should be this way. And so many therapists and experts are telling you, yes, men should be this way. No, men shouldn't be that way. Men should be men. Uh, so Kaylor came on and asked me to finish the story about when I was with Tony. I really don't remember. Oh, I just was making the point when I first came on stage, it was embarrassing for me because he's apologizing in the beginning because he didn't understand Mars Venus, and he was very politically correct at that time. And he was, he was saying, now we have a best-selling author here and he's very popular, but he's going to talk about men and women and we're different. But actually, you could be one side, you could be the other. and so if it relates to you, then that's good. If it doesn't relate to you, that's all right. I mean, I had compassion because I sometimes have to do that a little bit, where I have to overemphasize that this isn't every person, just most people. And this isn't that women won't relate to some of the male examples because women are on their male side and they're not on their female side. And they'd be happier if they would actually start finding the ways they do agree with me, which is to connect with their need, for example, to talk about their feelings and so forth. And for men who say they don't need a cave, are you depressed? Are you anxious? Are you just are you getting angry with your partner? You need cave time. These are basic ideas, but usually men related to the book because men haven't been, at least back then, we're not so indoctrinated to not be men. But again, it was walking on eggshells, like I was going to upset and disturb people. Now he's very clear. I heard him talking to a woman and the woman's complaining about a man. And he says, sounds like a man. And then she's complaining some more, sounds like a man. And then complaining some more, sounds like a man. So he's owning, his masculinity. He talks a lot about masculinity now, which is very, very important. This is a message that has to get out into the world. So yeah, I finished that story. I'll come back to what I was talking about before that story. Was he had a guest, he was interviewing somebody, and she was talking about anger, sadness, and fear. And what she said, I loved it. And she said, now, do you see, these are all the emotions on healing emotions. See, you can have feelings. And she also did one of my classic things, which I'm so glad she's doing, but I've been talking about for like 25 years. is that women think they're in touch with their feelings, and they're not at all. They say things like, I feel like he doesn't love me. I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like he doesn't support me. These are not feeling emotions. See, if you don't feel your emotions, your brain can't let go of them. And it's our negative emotions that are running everything. For most women, the one that's running everything is fear. Everything is defensiveness. Everything is, oh, he pulled away. He doesn't love me. He doesn't care about me. What am I supposed to do? What can I do? You know, it holds us back. And everything in life, fear will hold us back. But I look at it, it's not just fear. It's also guilt. We feel not good enough. That's it. We feel bad. We haven't forgiven ourselves for our mistakes. And for some people, it's a drive in their life. It's anger. But it destroys relationships, but it gives you motivation. It says, no, I won't take this. Don't treat me this way. I'll just take care of myself. I don't care about you. I'll just care about me. So again, so many people, their lives are ruined through feelings of anger and resentment. And when a woman has anger and resentment, she can't love in. And some people are just depressed in life, and that's unprocessed sadness. There's always these four emotions, which are anger, sadness, fear, and regret. Apology, sorry, sorrow, we could put it that way. Responsibility is the bottom line. And then what do you want? So that was beautiful. She said, process anger, sadness, fear, and what you want. And that's a good thing all by itself, too. But what I love that she said, which is somewhat inaccurate, but I love that when she said, and women, she looked at all the women, do you see on that list of emotions that helps to heal you? Hurt is not there. Can you just give up hurt? Can you stop using hurt? Because hurt is total victim. Now, for me, I would never say that, because we do hurt inside, and every woman can feel hurt very deeply. It's just don't share it with your partner. When you're feeling hurt, when you're feeling scared, when you're feeling outraged, outraged, hurt, scared, or when you're feeling ashamed, I'm feeling really bad. These are all negative emotions that come from the deepest part of our unconscious. This is our most primitive brain. It gets activated when we're totally in danger. That's the survival, the deepest part of survival, the unconscious. So when stress is really, really high, when our life is in danger, those are the four emotions that need to be processed. When we're just making cortisol, the stress hormone, then the process that we just use anger, sadness, fear, and regret, what I'm sorry about. And when you're just moderately stressed, that would be adrenaline. Then you only have to process frustration, disappointment, concern, worry, or embarrassment. So this is the four emotions there. And all this does it for you with the Mars Venus Heart Space app. And this is one of the important new needs that women have, because they don't have enough time with women during the day. Although that is a need, they need to create it. They can't expect it all from a man. They also need to process their negative emotions without depending on a man to hear particularly the deeper negative emotions, because he is there for you. You're not in danger. You're in his presence, and suddenly you're feeling like, I'm so hurt. Hurt means you're being deprived. He doesn't love you. He doesn't care about you. And here's the paradoxical aspect of this, and that is that. Sorry for the nose itching. This is the allergy time here, where the yellow flowers come out, the acacia come out, and I'm very allergic to them. So it seems like I have to itch my nose a lot. Better than itching my eyes, I'll say that. So, and that is another recovery thing. Whenever you're feeling down, at least I'm not feeling this. Okay, when I got these, what is it? The cataracts. So I had cataracts, and they put them in, and so I don't have to wear glasses anymore. You'll see all my other videos and everything. I'm wearing glasses in the past, and it's annoyance to wear glasses all the time. And sometimes I miss them, though. They're kind of protective. But but the idea with cataracts is I don't have to wear glasses, but they sort of limit my vision a bit. I can see the lenses actually inside, because I have so much subjective awareness. I can see from behind me, in a sense, the limit. And so everything cuts off a little bit here and the rest is not clear. Most people are not sensitive. They wouldn't notice that, but I certainly notice it. And no big deal. So I say, yeah, so I'm not seeing as much, but I don't have to wear glasses. So this is how you process stress. Yes, my husband's ignoring me today, but yesterday he wasn't. Or my husband's not perfect, but he sure brought in the bacon. Or the other day gave me a big hug and said, "I love you so much." So you find the balance. Yes, there's a problem, but there's also something good over here. And that's how you process your emotions. So you go down through your negative emotions. You have to be aware of, yeah, I have a problem, but look at the good in my life. So what I don't want is all negative emotions, and it's all resistance. Anything you resist, just to know, whenever you have negative emotions, you're resisting. If you don't come back to positive feelings, you've suppressed it. And it's there, and it will come up again and again and again. You'll keep having situations to bring the same thing up. If you resist, it gets stored inside of you. And when it gets stored inside of you, what happens is it will become projected on yourself as not good enough, or your partner not good enough, or your children should be better. Your life isn't good because you're suppressing. You're not letting it go. You have to learn how to let it go. And the way you let something go, let's say I'm holding on to something. How do I let it go? How do I let it go? Well, I have to first be aware I'm holding on to something. Here I am holding on to my coffee. And so if I want to let it go, I have to be aware of what I'm holding on to. And holding on is the same as suppressing. It's unconscious holding on. When we suppress, when we resist, it goes into our subconscious. And now we're holding on to it. So first you have to become aware of what you're holding on to. And anytime you're angry, you're always holding on to fear. Anytime you're sad, you're always holding on to guilt. Anytime you're afraid, you're also not feeling your power. So you're hiding your anger. You're still holding on to your anger because you don't feel safe expressing it. So this is why it's so important to practice the feeling letter exercise, which I have a whole chapter in the new book, all on how to do that. And the example I give after you understand it is I just described a woman. I said to my app, I said, here's a woman. She's complaining her husband's not listening to her and a few other things and answering 4 questions. And then the app writes out the whole feeling letter for you, expressing your negative emotions. Now, a few people have done the app and they've said to me, it writes out too much. Okay, so if it writes out too much for you, then just ignore it takes a few extra paragraphs. Just ignore it then. But other people love that it will help you dig. See, this is what a good therapist will do. I will help couples go deeper, individuals go deeper. The more you can go deep into your negative emotions, then you ask yourself, what is it that I want? And you listen to your soul and you become very clear about what you want. And then what happens whenever you're in touch with your soul, what you want, your soul's desire, then you can look at, oh, what am I grateful for? What do I have? What am I happy about? What am I proud of? What support do I have? And what do I love? All those feelings just come up, but they're all jammed up. The more you suppress, you push this stuff down, it blocks your positivity. So this is a new emotional need that women have. They basically, because you're more independent on your male side, you can't go to a man to share those feelings with him. You have to do it for yourself. This is self-esteem. This is self-actualization. This is you connecting with your soul. This is one of our high needs. And so you've got the self-actualization to find yourself, to connect with your soul's desire. You also have your need for physical intimacy with men. You have your need for bonding with other women. You need to create that space to do that. You can't expect a man to do this for you. But what's happening for women today is they feel this emptiness inside. Oh, look at that. You can still get the book for $2.99 at Kindle. It won't always be that way. So grab it quickly. And then, of course, you'll have your Kindle version. But I know you'll want to have your own hardback book in order to underline. I mean, this is one of those books like Men Are From Mars, where every page you'll underline and underline. You'll come back and you remind yourself. This is all new information. They say that there's nothing new under the sun. Okay. Now, maybe in some other civilization, societies went so far out of balance that women needed new skills in order to bring men into their hearts. But historically, there's never been a sense where there's never been the place that I know of where women became so much the providers, the security providers for a man and for their children. I think the only exception to this is the Amazon women, but they weren't making love. And there was that Wonder Woman, I think that was her name, movie, and there was this real feminist little slight in there. Although she was a good actress and she was vulnerable at places, caring about children, but she made this slight, which is they were talking about sex, and she said something about, well, I've read so and so, some woman who wrote several volumes on how a woman is superior to satisfy your physical orgasmic needs. And I just laughed. This is some feminist who never had a man satisfy her orgasmic needs. Because many men don't know. Okay. It's like women have to allow women have to ask for what they want, educate a man of what makes them feel good. But you can never replace a man with another woman. Another woman can provide a certain vitamin, but there's another vitamin that a man can provide. And there's no way you can get that from a woman. You can pretend, you can fake it, you can imagine it. That's what men are doing with their porn all the time. Their porn, they go online, they imagine some woman loves them, is there for them. Because see, the big thing for men when it comes to sex, this is so important. And I do talk about this a bit more in another book, which is coming out later this year, which I wrote this year. And that's called Why Men Fall in Love and Stay in Love. And I explain to women, and I realize I do talk a bit about this, but not sex. In the chapter in this book, which is explaining what you can get from a man, what you can't get from a man. Then there's another chapter of why do men need women? Okay, do you think I need a woman in my life now to make dinners for me, to clean my house, to take care of my children? Do I need a wife to do that? I can hire someone to do that. No problem. What do I need a woman for? And also sex. Not me, but other men. You can hire a woman to have sex, or you can have this completely ridiculous, life-draining experience of fulfilling yourself, gratifying yourself sexually by having porn and just stimulating sexual parts of your body that make you have an orgasm or a climax. No, it's like coming together of masculine and feminine energy that makes you multi-orgasmic. I was, I don't know. I don't think I want to go too far into this today, but what I want to do, which is really a deep heart, what do men really need from women? What men are looking for? They're not always aware of it. They think, oh, I'm looking for sex or companionship. What they're deeply looking for is someone who will love them. But what does that love look like? Is it you taking care of him like he's a child? Like you're cooking for him, you're caring about him, you're worrying about him, you're listening to him? No, that's not the love that men need. We have a biological backup for what I'm about to say. Men need a kind of love that will raise his testosterone. When a woman needs a man's help, when she's vulnerable and she needs his help, that will raise a man's testosterone to higher levels than anything. Nothing else can do that. And not only does it go so high, but it also, as his testosterone is going up, his estrogen's going up. If you look at a lot of alpha men who can't commit, their testosterone is very, very high, but their estrogen is very low. It's only through commitment and loving a woman, caring about her, that his testosterone and estrogen levels can rise together when they're making love. And it's only in making love that he can actually receive fully her love. So why do men want sex? Because sex, simply put, sex allows a man to feel. When a man is turned on, he feels more than any other time. Ice cream, he will feel. This is why old men eat ice cream. This is part of me. When my wife leaves town, she has a job somewhere else. It comes and goes. When she goes, in the past, I would want to eat ice cream. Why? Because there's nothing for me that feels better than ice cream. fat and butter, fat and sugar, immediately, give you a big dopamine rush, feels really, really good. Estrogen goes really, really high, but then you're left with low testosterone, which you don't want to do that. So I don't eat ice cream anymore. It's a thing of the past. I wish you well. I had fun eating it in the past, but it was lowering my testosterone, causing my belly to become big. For a man, when your belly gets big, your belly now is just it's a estrogen manufacturing machine. It will just make more and more estrogen, more and more estrogen. That's the function of belly fat for men and for women. All that extra fat on your body. And this is why women often get fat at menopause, is they don't have enough estrogen. So the body is depending more on food and calories in order to produce estrogen. Whenever you're dependent on something to make you happy, estrogen gets fulfilled. If you're depending on food, but you become overly dependent on food, now you're going to be making a lot of estrogen, but it's not looking to relationship, looking to a man to produce food. And this, if you want to understand this biologically, there's a whole thing in Taoist tradition, which I found very curious, which is that what they say in Taoism is that when women stimulate themselves, women are always asking me, I'm always saying how bad masturbation is for men. Women say, well, what about for them? And I say, well, we don't have any research on that, but I can go to the Taoist tradition, a 5,000-year-old tradition in China, where they understand the old meridian systems, acupuncture, medical science now approves of acupuncture. They don't understand how it worked, who figured this out, but they respect it. This is very respectable in the West, certainly in China. It's very understood. They can do miraculous things, getting needles put in certain spots on your body. There's certain energy channels in your body. And acupuncture is wonderful if you're okay with putting needles in you. Some people don't want to do it. But they understand the meridians. These are these energy channels in the body. So what the Chinese Taoists, when I was studying Taoism and acupuncture in China, is when they stimulate the clitoris in a woman activates the kidney chi, activates the kidneys. And if the act of sex is primarily just stimulating the clitoris, it overstimulates the kidneys, and then your ability to process water in your body becomes inhibited. Overstimulation of anything always causes problems. So women will have kidney issues of storing water, and their hips and their thighs and their butt will become really, really big, but particularly the hips is what they would say. Is the hips become, the thighs become really, really big. And you can often see that. I've just observed this in gay women. You'll often see that. And that's because their sex is all based on the clitoris. You don't have the penis in the vagina to stimulate the vagina. And is when I give talks on sex, which I explain, is that so many men will just skip the clitoris, which is a very important part of it, or so many couples or men will just stimulate the clitoris. And a woman will want that stimulation because it's easy to have what's called a climax when you stimulate the clitoris, because not only does it stimulate kidney chi, but it's making the testosterone. You stimulate the clitoris, it's making testosterone. When you're kissing, when you're touching the breasts, when you're sucking on the nipples, when you're massaging her body, oxytocin and estrogen is being produced. So that's why you have what's called foreplay. But even without foreplay, many women will experience somewhat of a climax, which is different from a multi-orgasmic experience. Multi-orgasmic experience is when she can have both testosterone and a lot of estrogen. And that happens when you have penetration, when the man is completely giving to you and you're totally receiving, you're one with him. So you have both your testosterone is high, your estrogen goes higher and higher and higher. Now, if people want to know more information about that, you go to my MarsVenus.com, and I have a whole class in there on sexuality, how secrets of great sex. And it's really a fun show, although it's turned into a workshop, but the content it's all audio because I don't want visual with that. But what happens is it's the best education. It's more funny. If you read my book, Mars, Venus in the Bedroom, it's very pure and beautiful, and couples can read to each other in bed, which is really nice. One chapter each every evening, and you'll end up doing something. But the class really goes into all of our challenges when it comes to sexuality. We have a lot of programming around it and how to overcome that and how to understand each other and so forth. So that's called Secrets of Great Sex. And there's exercises and questions and answers and so forth. So it's a really good class, and that's at marsvenus.com. But the whole idea of needing foreplay is women need foreplay. Now, they don't always need foreplay. Let's say at a very romantic evening, she's already feeling in love, and maybe it's at the beginning of the relationship where there's a lot of dopamine from newness. Her estrogen's already really high. Or if you're catching her towards ovulation, she may not need as much stimulation of both the kissing and the breasts. And then that's the estrogen side of it. Help her come back to her female side, then bring her to her male side, which is stimulating the clitoris. That actually creates desire, to be penetrated. I want you inside of me. So this is why it's notorious. Women are notorious for not initiating sex. And yet that is the most powerful thing you can do to raise a man's testosterone and you don't have to say, let's have sex. You can say things like, let's go cuddle in bed tonight. I'm feeling I want to be close to you, because she may not be feeling that strong testosterone desire, but she's feeling I want to be close to you. And then once you're in bed and you're touching and you're kissing, then as her estrogen levels are rising, then her body will start making testosterone. And then along with making testosterone is stimulating the clitoris, which is very important at a certain point. My suggestion when it comes to sex is, two different aspects. One is give her a climax with the clitoris, and then have penetration and give her a real orgasm where you're coming. She'll come again when you come. That's one approach. Another approach is stimulating clitoris, but not to climax, and then having intercourse. And that's if you can last long as a man. Not all men can last long, so it's at least she gets her climax. So she's no longer needing more, because whenever women are going into their male side, it can cause a man to premature ejaculate because she's wanting more rather than just being over to receiving. So it's a delicate dance, a lot of sexual challenges for people today. And it's not an easy solution without education. But what I do is I provide that education for people. That's not in this book for women only. It's in the book, in the workshop online, as well as in my book, Mars Venus in the Bedroom. But what is, excuse me, from my itchy nose, it's like crazy, and probably looks terrible. But whatever it is, it's me, and who I am is good enough. So bear with me. So we're coming back to the whole theme here was why men want sex. It's because when man is sexually aroused, both his testosterone and estrogen are rising together in most cases, particularly if he loves his partner. But even for a man to have an erection, his estrogen has to go up. If you look at a psychopathic man who has no love, who wants to start wars, who doesn't care about anybody, just cares about himself or cares about achieving a goal without thinking about the consequences and looking for a win-win solution, that's your psychopaths. And usually the only way you get to politics and the high levels, you're all chosen for that. It's not like people just randomly do it. You get picked. And you have to pass certain tests. And the tests are you're a psychopath to a great extent. And what you have to know is psychopaths seem like the nicest people. They're extremely charming. They're highly manipulative people. But they live in the world of end justifies the means. So you can heartlessly do something. And you think, well, the only way I could relate to that, because you kind of go, do these people really exist? How could that be? Well, I know that there's an example of when let's say your daughter has a lot of mud on her face and she doesn't want you to wash her face, but it's all dried and hurts a little bit. So you have to, she's going to hurt and she's going to cry out. So the end justifies the means. You'll do something that is maybe hurting her a little bit, but the end result is better. Same thing with taking an injection of a shot that's good for you, which I don't take any shots, but if I'm wanting to do a blood test, that's painful. Okay. But the end justifies the means. I'd like to spend more time with my family, but sometimes I have to travel to make money. So the end justifies the means. So that's a big Martian thing. That's a big male thing, which is I'll do the hard, dirty, dangerous work, but I'm going to have this happy wife at home and children at home. So it's not a bad thing, end justifies the means. It's just when it goes too far. And a psychopath will be pure testosterone. The end will justify the means for anything that they want. And they don't have estrogen. And so they can't get erections. So this is why then they have, like various degrees of needing to hurt people allows them to feel, and then their estrogen goes up and they can get erections. So, these jokes where they'll talk about online, I hear these guys talking about, this guy is, I forget these politicians' needs, but these guys, they're called war hawks. They come online and we're going to get you, and they threaten and trying to get everybody to be riled up to go for war. And another person would say, yeah, he's getting a hard on because thinking about hurting people gives them a hard on. This is psychotic, but this is the reality of the world we have. Is some men can't get turned on and feel alive, which is the best feeling, without hurting somebody. As opposed to your majority of men, you make a woman happy. Through making her happy and helping her feel good, then your estrogen goes up along with your testosterone, and that's called making love. That's sex with a partner that you love and you care about, and you fulfill her needs rather than just getting off for yourself. And a young teenager, he's going to get off for himself, and because we don't have direction today. If you give a teenager porn, immediately his body thinks that the woman loves him, his body, and he'll feel strongly, and estrogen will go up. He'll release his energy. His brain won't develop. He'll have less motivation in his life. He'll be depressed. This is what's happening today. We see it. Cultures knew this in the past. That's why they always, you would be discouraged from ever masturbating if you're a male. Now what they say is the World Economic, not the World Economic Forum, but the United Nations has a worldwide curriculum for educating children. And the third grade, you have to look this up. It's hidden in there, but it's right in there. I looked it up. In the third grade, you're taught by this curriculum that to masturbate is normal, natural, and that is a way of loving yourself. And everybody always says, oh, masturbation is normal, natural. Eating ice cream is normal and natural. Eating junk food is normal and natural. Fighting people is normal and natural. Feeling desire for someone, doing porn is normal and natural today. This is all insanity. We're a crazy place where everything is right. Everything's okay. No, not everything's okay. Everything's forgivable. But even then, what makes it forgivable is when you recognize you made a mistake and now you pledge yourself to do better. Not that you have to be perfect at anything, but you have to recognize I'm making a mistake, as opposed to, yes, that's good. Yes, do this, do this. Everything's all right. Everything's good. Okay, I don't want to go too far there. I want to come back to this theme, women's new needs. And we'll finish up with that as I'm talking about why men really need sex so much, is because it's through sex that men become turned on. When men become turned on, they feel their estrogen goes up. They're able to feel while their testosterone's also high. And when men can feel, then they can let love in. We want to feel love, and women can feel love all the time. They can feel love for the trees, for the garden, for the kids. Men can feel a little bit, but nothing like a woman. We want to find our wholeness within myself of experiencing my masculine side and my feminine side, and that I am loved. So this is like an amazing thing that I already knew, but now I have a way of explaining it scientifically, is that men's mirror neurons are different from women's. The whole system is different in a man than a woman. For women, again, what women need is other women, because when you're with other women, they feel empathy for you. You talk about your problems and they'll talk about their problems, and you have empathy. Your mirror neurons, their mirror neurons are open. Mirror neurons allow your brain to feel what somebody else feels. I become a mirror. If you're feeling sad, I feel sad. If you feel happy, I feel happy. Mirror neurons allow me to feel what you're feeling, which also allows me to feel what I'm feeling. I feel what you feel. Now I know what I'm feeling. Well, for men, if any time a man is experiencing stress hormones, his mirror neurons are completely closed. Anytime you're blaming a man or in his presence where you want to change him, his mirror neurons are closed. He can't feel your love and support. He gets defensive because he can't feel your love and support. And usually you're not feeling that much love at that time anyway. So mirror neurons close down whenever a man feels blamed. And most of the time, even if he's not feeling blamed, they're only open a little bit. They're open with his children because his children are vulnerable and need his help and are not blaming him. When is the time that a man's mirror neurons open even more than with his children? Is when his wife, who he's devoted to, is naked making love to him. They found that's when his mirror neurons open 100%, is when he's making love to his partner. And she's enjoying it. She's open. She's trusting. She's letting go. She feels, this heavenly happiness. She's loving him, trusting him, accepting him, appreciating him, admiring him. These are the things that raise a man's testosterone to the highest level. And because his mirror neurons are open at the same time, he's able to receive her love. And that's how he feels her love. This is why women can empower men. They can bring out the best in a man. They can make a man feel loved. And to the extent he depends on a woman's love has a lot to do with making love is one. To doing things for her where she's vulnerable and she can open up, that leads to making love, where he can actually let the love in. And to a great extent, particularly modern life, is that men today, they grew up with mothers who are single. Massive amount of men are growing up with mothers who are divorced, and there's a man not in their life, and she's the man in the boy's life. She's doing everything. And when she's stressed, because she's stressed, the boy can't let in her love. A little boy does have open mirror neurons, so he can let in his mother's love. But if she's stressed, he can't let it in. And so to the extent he can't let it in, the more he thinks about sex as he gets to teenage years, begin experiencing letting love in. So when he's turned on with porn, which happens, his mirror neurons open up, but nothing really comes in. There's no energy. There's no real love. It's all fantasy. It's all fake. And so his soul he disconnects from his soul. He doesn't feel loved. He's not aware of that. See, not feeling love means you're not aware that you're being loved. So he's not necessarily walking around going, gee, I don't feel loved. I don't feel loved. He usually goes around feeling like I don't feel good enough and nobody likes me. Either those two things. And what we want to do is save our sons by women learning how to make love with a man, not just loving your son. You have to lower your stress by having a man in your life. When you're rejecting men in your life, what you're doing is rejecting the masculinity in that little boy. He can't let love in if you're not loving his father. And if you can't love his father, find another man to love who's helping you. And that helps you lower your stress. So that's our theme today, is that women's new emotional needs is you need a man to help you come back to your female side. You also need more time bonding with other women, so you're not expecting a man to give you what a girlfriend can give you. You're letting him do his job as a man, and you're letting women do their job as a woman, and also self-actualization. We all have it going on. How can you process your negative emotions by yourself without depending on anybody? And if you can't do that, then go to a coach or a therapist who will help you to do it, or go to the Mars Venus Heart Space app, Mars Venus Heart Space app. And that's where you can learn. It will help you to process your emotions. So with all of that today, thank you all so much for joining me, understanding women's new emotional needs, which is what my whole new book is about. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, for women only. And certainly men, if you want to help your wife, you can read parts of it that she shares with you. But this is your secret strategy book, women, to get what you want from a man if you're in a relationship or if you're dating. And if you don't want a man in your life, it will help you to understand how you can still use men to open your heart without being in an intimate relationship or a sexual relationship. This is called Be Happy With or Without a Man. And the bottom line, the big theme of this book is when you learn how to be happy, it's easier for a man to make you happier, as long as you have the skills to draw him into your life, to stimulate you, to stimulate your hormones, and that automatically brings out the best in a man. It's a win-win situation. Thank you, God. And thank you all for joining us today. Have a great day. See you next week.
Thank you for watching the Shades of Grey podcast with Dr. John Gray, best-selling author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And follow Dr. Gray on all social media platforms for more timeless relationship wisdom. For free tools to create deeper love and better communication, visit marsvenus.com and take Dr. Gray's free course, How to Get Everything You Want in Relationships. And don't miss next week's episode of the Shades of Grey podcast, where understanding brings us closer together.